proud to be standing with my colleagues from Connecticut today. It is a historic day in the House of Representatives. Not that long ago, we sat in the well of the House and we said, give us a vote. And we had that vote today. And we said yes to universal background checks for the first time. It's been 8 long years, and we finally got the vote today. A thank you to the grassroots organizations who made this happen. And we now move to look at what kind of stronger measures we can take. But we want to say to the people in Newtown and in Las Vegas, Aurora, South Carolina, we have now made the move. We're going forward, and we're going to continue this effort.
Thank you. It's great to be here with the Connecticut delegation. We have stood like a rock over the last 8 years while the Congress actually did not do its job, never held a single hearing on gun violence, regardless of the cascade of mass shootings that just followed one after another. As Rosa said, on June 22nd, 2016, we had a sit down in the House to protest the lack of action led by John Larson, who organized that event. There were 5,000 people out here in the pouring rain that evening because it went for over 20 hours. 800% increase in C-SPAN viewership. We finally got the vote that we were seeking that night. And it's a great day for our country, and it's a great day for a great delegation in a great state that has been a leader on preventing gun violence.
Proud to join this delegation, but even prouder to stand with all the grassroots networks that from Sandy Hook forward have stood shoulder to shoulder with us. Why we fought through the tears, having not a single public hearing. And finally, because of perseverance and persistence on your part and a Democratic majority that allowed us to not only have a hearing, but actually have a vote and be victorious on something simple and as common sense as universal background checks. A victory for the grassroots, but more to do. And now the fight goes to the Senate, where that banner will be carried proudly by Senator Blumenthal and Senator Murphy.
Amen. Not one of us wasn't profoundly touched by what happened in our state at Sandy Hook. We know the people, and we have watched as the families of Sandy Hook have taken that pain and have walked these hallways for years. And in each of those years, we had to say, not this year, it won't happen. Today, it happened. And what I will take away from today was after the vote passed on the floor of the House, looking up the gallery, so many people in tears, so many smiles saying, finally, we've made some progress. Now, of course, the action goes to the Senate, and the betting is against it. But the power and the commitment of the grassroots and the hard work of our 2 senators working in the United States Senate could take today's victory and change this country. So it's a thrill to introduce our senior senator, Senator Dick Blumenthal.
Sandy Hook was in my heart today. Those brave and beautiful lives, and the survivors, their parents, their loved ones, and so many others who have come here year after year. Democracy worked today. And I am so grateful to my House colleagues, to all the House, for making sure we understand we have an obligation to protect those lives, 90 of them lost every day. The Senate cannot shirk that obligation, and we will fight tirelessly and relentlessly for measures like this one, and it has to be more. Connecticut has led the way. Our state legislature has shown the example of courage and strength, keeping faith with those brave loved ones and the 26 beautiful lives lost at Sandy Hook.
We lost a vote on background checks in 2013. And we knew we didn't lose it because we didn't have the public on our side. Even then, 90% of Americans wanted universal background checks. We knew we didn't lose it because we weren't right on the policy. Background checks does save thousands of lives. We lost it because we didn't have a political movement in this country at that time that was as strong as the gun industry did. And so we went out over the next 5 years, the next 6 years, and built a political movement, a political infrastructure around saving lives, around making our gun laws common sense, that today led to this vote. This is an advertisement for why elections matter. This is an advertisement for why persistent political action matters. Big social change doesn't happen overnight. You hit obstacles, you fail before you succeed. And Dick and I are going to do everything in our power to now train the focus of this movement, the focus of these leaders that are with us today on the Senate to make sure we get that vote. And I couldn't be prouder to be here with this Connecticut delegation. We are small, but we hope we are mighty in that we don't give up, we work together. And for me, this is probably one of the proudest days that I've had here.
We are joined by, and we will close with, the newest member of this family, who of course has the honor and the privilege of representing those people who were so badly affected at Sandy Hook. Johanna Hayes.
This is personal for me. Part of the reason I decided to run for Congress was just that we began to have conversations that started with, let's arm teachers to make our schools safe. But what I just saw happen in there today, people cheering on the other side, people high-fiving, when we're talking about protecting people in our communities, it's not okay. This is not a partisan issue. This is not a political issue. But what I'm learning very quickly, is that the only reason that we are here today is because it is a political issue. Because we have to have a movement, like Senator Murphy said, that we have to motivate people to get out and vote and hold leaders accountable. It's not about the 435 members in this body or the 100 members in the Senate. It's about all of the people in our communities who are putting pressure on those leaders. So I encourage you to just take all of this back and fight harder and be more steadfast and be more mobilized and help us do the work that we have to do. Because this is just a very small piece of what we have to do. And I just am so grateful to be here, so grateful to be a part of this. This is what happens when you're in the majority. We wouldn't even be having this conversation. We wouldn't even be having this conversation. They wouldn't even allow us to discuss it on the floor. So take that back home to all of your communities and remind people of why it's important that we're here. That's all.
Thank you.